Yo, what's up guys? So today we are going to be talking about the new TrapTrix in action, which is an archetype that's all about the back row, specifically any cards that are the whole cards, except for the honor holes. It does not support that archetype. Completely another subject, but anyways, so the TrapTrix archetype is all about utilizing the back row. While back row isn't really, I would say, the hottest thing, when you can use the effects of your trap cards twice, that's actually a pretty decent effect. And also being able to recycle your cards is going to give you a huge advantage with the new link monster, the TrapTrix Ultricularia over here. She has this awesome ability where once per turn, when you're activating a whole normal trap card resolves, you can set it back face down instead of sending it to the graveyard. And then also during your end phase, you get to target a TrapTrix monster from your graveyard and spell summon in defense position. So it allows you to go and bring back some extra monsters that will go ahead and bring back extra potential cards. So you'll have free traps that you can use potentially twice. In fact, we are using some cards like Lost Wind, where you might be able to potentially use it twice as well. So the archetype, at the end of the day, it doesn't put up a board that's a bunch of negates, but what it does offer you is the ability to go ahead and, again, use your resources at a better rate than most cards, because everything about this archetype is all about going +1 or 2 here and there. And with the addition of adding some Paleozoics, which the deck kind of benefits off of traps in general. It's not just whole cards, and we'll get into that in a second, but you can see that we've out-resourced a Altergeist player, which that deck is a slower paced deck, which I feel like is a more fair matchup for this archetype. In fact, you can play against better decks, like this is going to be a Shadal deck that is also mixing in one of the more popular things to go and mix it in with, which is of course the Dragmas or the Dogmaticas. In fact, you can throw that in any archetype, but nonetheless, the Sarah is a pretty good card, and it has this awesome ability to be completely immune by trap effects. So you can theoretically throw up like a Torrential Tribute and your Link Summon, as long as it's Link Summon card, of course if you're going to be Link Summoning it, it's going to be immune to trap effects. Now, we're unfortunately going to lose out on our new Link monster, so this is one of the newer Link monsters for the archetype, and we have another card too, which we'll go over when we go ahead and hop right into the effects of all of the newer stuff that has came out. It's basically just 2 new cards, but that one new Link monster really helps out the archetype, as again, you're able to go ahead and use your whole cards twice. There are awesome, cards from back in the day like Bottomless that are still, I would say, quite viable in the game. Banishing cards is quite powerful still, and on top of that, this could hit multiple monsters. So if your opponent is playing any like Pendulum based deck where all of them are summoned all at the same time, you could potentially hit a lot more monsters, which obviously is better than just hitting one. But when you go ahead and also think about cards like Floodgate Trap Hole, you could potentially use this twice, and maybe your opponent is playing a deck where they have no tribute summons. At that point, those monsters might just be permanently stuck there, and they're going to run out of those link zones because maybe you took one of them, and like they can't really make use out of the other card because it's just, they can't use it as a stepping stone. So there's a lot more play to TrapTrix than just, just use the trap cards, get rid of the monster. You can permanently potentially set up to where your opponent's cards are all face down. And I was even thinking with some of the other newer cards, for example, like the Ground Collapse, you could potentially lock your opponent out. Again, if you go ahead and make it so there's multiple zones that are blocked, and then you go and flip everything face down. Remember, getting the effect of Floodgate Trap Hole twice, that's pretty big, especially since you usually will activate it as soon as they summon like double monsters, right? Because you want to go ahead and disrupt their plays. And then if you go ahead and maybe stop 2 other monsters, they might be stuck with that one monster and they can't like go right into like a Link Karibo, right? So I was thinking that this play, specifically the new Link monster being able to use the Floodgate Trap Hole twice, is actually a pretty nasty thing, because remember, they can't change their battle positions unless they've got a card that's going to flip them all face up, which let's be realistic, no one's really playing that this day and age. So again, I think you can lock your opponent out quite easy with being able to use Floodgate Trap Hole 2 times, which is all you really need to relatively get a decent effect with the card. Again, if you're flipping 4 monsters, sometimes they just can't go into anything. And for whatever reason right now, obviously this is a archetype that, it was at one point popular, but it hasn't been as popular. People, I swear, don't read the effects of some of the newer cards. And well, while this card has this awesome ability to be immune, watch what this guy does. You guys are gonna be laughing at this other kid. But Yugioh and reading cards is quite difficult. So he's gonna go ahead and have that ability to go and banish a card. But Sarah's gonna have this ability to go ahead and stop stuff. with being able to get an additional TrapTrix. But on top of that, what's funny here is he's going to go ahead and send one monster with equal or higher attack from your extra deck and then destroy that monster. And then he's also going to try to imperm this monster. Did you not read, man? Like, this card has this effect where it's pretty cool and it lets you go ahead and be immune to trap effects. So he's still going to be able to, I guess, get rid of another card at the end of the day, but this is the card that you really want to go for. Maybe he just wanted to go ahead and go minus. I doubt it. I think it's because he didn't read. But remember, the base Link monsters have the ability to be immune to trap effects. It's not just hole effects. Technically over here, the Murmillo, which is one of the more popular cards that was in the archetype, the hat, right? This one is only immune to the whole normal traps. But these ones over here are immune to, as long as they're Link summoned, that is, they're immune to just trap effects, period. So you can torrential and protect all of these cards, which is awesome because remember during the end phase, you get to go ahead and bring back another card. So you could potentially get some free extra cards, get the plus, and then going minus doesn't really matter that much, considering the card that you'll be bringing back can be activated twice via the effect of the Ultra Calaria over here, which is really cool. But anyways, now that you've seen it in action, let me go and actually kind of explain some of the other things that I didn't get a chance to because the gameplay was a little fast here, but let's go ahead and hop into the deck profile. So hopping right into the deck profile, the main cards that we're really focused in on is the Ganolia over here. So this card over here is one of the newer cards where it's unaffected by a whole normal trap, but that's not that relevant right now in Yu-Gi-Oh! The most important effect is that you get to, you can only use one of the following effects of it per turn, only once a turn, but you get to send a set trap card you control to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. That just allows you to go ahead and quickly bring out this card because you can maybe make some use out of some of the other cards later down the line, for example, like Lost Wind, where you're going to go ahead and be able to reset the card. So I think this is a great little addition to the minus that you would go with this card, because it has to be a set trap card that is set. I really wish it worked off on face-ups. That would actually be really good, because then you can run like the Fiendish Chain and stuff like that after it's already, like, you know, gotten its effect. But nonetheless, if you control no cards in your spell and trap zone, you can also banish this card from your graveyard, target a whole normal trap card, and set it to your field. Again, I really think that the card that was going to be the most popular for people to go ahead and utilize is actually Floodgate. There's also, again, we go to the what's it, whole cards. I'll type in hole and go to trap to show you guys the other options, because there were a few cards that people did use back in the day, and I also think that this is counting as a whole card, because remember, it's just one whole card. This is another card that I think is quite great. It's almost like a form of called, because when they activate any monster effect in their hand or graveyard, or when your opponent's banished monster's effect is activated, you can negate the effect and burn your opponent, and again, you get to set it twice. So this is another card that I would definitely consider if you guys are playing this deck, as it is another trap hole card that, again, you guys didn't see. This is way too old in Legacy. There were some people that were running Deep Dark Trap Hole at one point, but it's a 5 or higher effect monster, which is, you normally say think it's like not that hard to see, but the thing is there's so many like Link decks where it's just completely unaffected. Time Space Trap Hole at one point did see some play as well, being able to go ahead and get rid of some stuff. You do have to pay life points. Also the TrapTrix Trap Hole Nightmare, it's a pretty easy effect condition to go ahead and make use of. I mean, it has TrapTrix in it. This is another card where you get double uses out of. Again, not only do you get to go ahead and negate that effect, but you get to destroy the card. Unfortunately though, since they're all like most of the whole cards, they're not counter trap cards, unfortunately. If we go to the counter trap cards, there's Chaos Trap Holes. Obviously, you're not going to be playing this, but this is really conditional to a deck. There's really nothing that is in the counter zone that would be applicable for this, so unfortunately, we're going to stick with these cards over here. But I still think, well, obviously, not going to be playing Treacherous Trap Hole in this, and the rest are obviously anime. But the only other card that I wanted to really mention, again, was, of course, the Gravedigger's Trap Hole, because this is one of the cards that was technically a little bit newer that we didn't have back in the hat days. But on top of that, there's also Warning Point over here, which is another newer card. This makes so when a monster is summoned this turn, that face-up monster can't attack, its effects are negated, and it can't be used for like any of those material. So this would be another great use out of, again, locking your opponent out. Well, technically with this one, it can't be, where is it? this turn. So you'd have to technically run over the monster the following turn, which it could be possible. It depends, of course, on what you're making, because the whole archetype doesn't have that much of attack, but you're trying to utilize the Paleozoic to maybe get rid of something that's just too large in attack, because that obviously needs to happen as well for the archetype. But anyways, hopping right into like a brief little deck profile, now I got the cards that I wanted to mention out of the way, and I already mentioned this card several times. It's just you get a double use out of your cards, and then you're bringing back usually Murmillo to go ahead and reset and get a free plus off of, again, remember, we're going to add another whole normal trap card. I think Bottomless has just lost its power that it used to have. But again, I think Floodgate, if you want to make it with like, this other card I kind of mentioned, Ground Collapse, would be excellent if you wanted to go ahead and use it. So this card did get an errata. It's 2 main monster zones. You can't select the link zones, but again, if you're hitting 2 cards with, of course, the Floodgate, and then your opponent only has 1 slot like for the monster zone to go ahead and link summon, and if they can't go right into like a Link Karibo as a stepping stone, and even if they do that, they might be blocked with that Link Karibo because you flipped it face down and you already took that other Link monster zone, extra monster zone. And I like that this card doesn't give your opponent another one for that reason. I think Ground Collapse could be a really nasty thing to mix in when you, this locks out 2, then this could easily lock out 2, and at that point, remember, you're gonna reset this card too with this. It's just going to be really rough. And then at that point, you could wave Motion Cannon OTK, well, not OTK, well, eventually it'd be an OTK, but you'd have to wait several turns, wave Motion Cannon, or whatever, because your opponent literally cannot Yugioh if you want to make the deck based around utilizing that lockout that I mentioned before. But anyways, yeah, so we got 2 cards at Daona. This is the only card that really lets you go ahead, 1 card, bring out another card, which is usually Murmillo, and then you go ahead and have 1 card into, of course, the new card. And then we have, of course, the Mantis over here. This is just another TrapTrix monster, and then this just lets you go ahead and make your cards a little bit faster. And then Jalecia over here, it's got the awesome ability to, you can tribute this set card to select 2 whole normal traps with different names, 1 from your deck and 1 from your graveyard. So this is kind of there for versatility, but the rest of the cards are going to be the frog engines, just so we can have a little bit more potential negation, just because you do definitely need negations in Yu-Gi-Oh, as you guys know how this game is this day and age. So we got 3 swaps, 2 Ronins, and then 3 dupes. Just gives you extra ability to go and have some plays if your first play gets stopped. Then in Perm, it's just one of the best trap cards in the game. Then we got Warning Point, Bottomless, 2 copies of Olendes, and 3 copies of Dino, 3 copies of the Floodgate Trap Hole, which again, I mentioned how awesome this card is, but there's other options as well. Then we have Lost Wind, and then Canadia over here. And then we got Almoros, or Fleecia, that was just like the OG like way to play the deck. And then the Paleozoic card that barely ever comes out because awesome is basically the go-to card, and then Ophidinia. And then we got the new Link monster, 2 copies of Sarah, 2 copies of Mr. Boy. Then we got a Zeus, Magnus, and this card that you can potentially bring out. These 2 cards really easy with it. But that's going to go and wrap up the deck profile, as well as a few things that I wanted to go ahead and mention with the new TrapTrix. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the gameplay. If you did, drop a like on it. And if you are new here and if you want to see more new Yu-Gi-Oh content in the future, hit subscribe, turn that bell, and you'll definitely see more very soon. But big shouts to my homie Teriyaki for hooking me up with the gameplay as well as the deck profile for you guys. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video. And I'm signing out. Peace. Also, there's 2 more videos up on the screen. If you guys haven't checked out those videos, definitely give them a check out.